All right, guys, we're gonna do a little video on the pusher intake for the 6.7 Power Stroke. This one's on the 2019. I was under the gun, didn't have a chance to do an install video on this, but it's pretty straightforward. Make sure you have plenty of silicone spray or you're not going to get this thing on. Now then, I'm gonna point out some of the things I like, some of the things that I don't like. Number one, this intake does suck. It sucks down a lot of air. On the flip side of that, Pusher's customer service also sucks, just as hard as their intake does. When I ordered this, went to order this piping kit, it was $130. I needed it next day air, so I called Pusher to make sure they had it in stock beforehand. The jackass that got on the phone, you could tell he did not want to be on the phone, even though I contacted their sales department and I asked him if they had it in stock. He said, yes, we have one in stock. And I said, okay, what's your shipping cutoff for next day air? And he said 2. Well, that left me 30 minutes. I'm driving down the road. I said, okay, let's go ahead and get this thing ordered. He said, well, you can go on our website. Next day shipping is on there as an option. Well, thanks, jackass. That's what I needed, was to have to pull over and try to do this within the next 30 minutes to get it ordered. Another thing I will say, I do have the Pusher coolant reroute on here. I would not recommend buying this, but that will be in another video, and it will also reference back to why their customer service sucks. Now, on to the other stuff. As you can see, and guess what? Everybody's on to get on here and say, well, your clamps are off. You know what? The comments are off because I don't give a shit what you think. The clamps are where they're at. Live with it. Very good quality clamps on here. Very good quality boots. These boots are extra heavy duty. I don't know if you can, I don't know if the camera will focus down in there right now. It's very well made. It is very well made. One thing I will say is there is one nick in the powder coating on the back of the intake that was like that when it came out of the box. If I hadn't been under the gun, I would have sent that back, because for $2,000, I don't expect it to have paint chips when it arrives. But like I said, I was under the gun, threw it on here. It did come packaged very well. That defect was not during shipping. It was prior to them wrapping it, because this whole thing comes with a barrel of bubble wrap on it. Pretty straightforward install. Thing that I like about this is, instead of 2 hours to get the upper and lower factory Ford intakes off, 15 minutes, I'm in the valley to the top of the CP4, which is where the S&S disaster prevention kit went. We'll have another video on that later. But right there is the top of the metering unit. 15 minutes literally. Few clamps, you're in the valley. On this, Pusher uses the bottom of the factory intake box, which runs from that scoop. Everything fit up good here. The thing that I don't like is for $2,000. This should have been included. This should have been a custom box that went in here that this attached to, make this all look clean, instead of all of this nice work and this nice TIG welded upper box mounted onto the shitty plastic one from the factory. This should have been metal. Other companies make them metal. As far as that, monstrous intake running into the turbo. The connections on here were clean, utilizes the factory connection. On this truck, as you can see, the factory CCV is still in there. Since doing away with the factory intake does away with this, Pusher has their own CCV reroute. So as you can see, this is the factory hose coming off that would normally run back into your intake. Pusher includes a connection right down here, a fitting that goes on here that changes it to a barb on the other end. They include a piece of hose in it, and you just route that hose down and out the bottom of the truck. I will say that I really do like this way of dealing with your CCV issues. It takes the pressure off of your motor. As long as your CCV filter is in good condition, the reroute goes out the bottom of the truck. There's absolutely no drips coming from this because it's still getting filtered in the factory filter, but it's not forcing it back into your motor. So that is a really clean setup. I really like the way they did that. We will be doing a CCV filter delete and reroute later to do some product testing. Don't know if I'll go back to this or not, but that is a very clean way of doing it. Another thing that I don't like is Pusher did not do anything. Sorry, trying to get the camera to focus back there. There is clearance there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I can stick my finger behind it. Pusher did not do anything to, they didn't do anything for a mounting solution for your dipstick tubes. The one connects way back there. See if I can focus. It goes into that stud. So Pusher included one spot where you bolt up, then your two dipsticks bolt together. As far as out here, there is no bracket going over to stabilize these. They do move quite a bit, and you do have to bend the shit out of them to get them to not rub on the intake tube or on your fuel filter. And I mean, there was a lot of adjustments we had to do here. It's not like in the Pusher video where they just took it, just shoved it over just a little bit and it was all nice and pretty and clean. Bullshit. You have to bend the living hell out of these things and make sure you don't crease it in order to get clearance on those. The other connections, the connections are hell. The powder coat on these are thick, which is good, but you have to use a lot of silicone spray. It took 3 people, a lot of silicone spray, and 3 people pulling on this boot and holding this to try to get this boot on there where we want. The biggest pain in the ass boot, and I don't know if I can get it to zoom in, get it to focus down there. The biggest pain in the ass boot is the one that goes on the bottom of the intercooler. That one we kept having issues with. It would work over, and you can see there's a rub spot right in there where it did work over against the reservoir at one time. Since then, I loosened it up, pushed it over, tightened that clamp down ungodly tight. So far, we haven't had any issue with it rubbing again. So it's a very tight fit, very good fit. The air filter on this is massive. Seems to be doing a good job. Pusher included a little glass window, which makes absolutely no sense because it's tinted so dark you cannot see in it. So they might as well have just left that off or left it clear so you could actually see it. As far as sensors goes, all of your sensors mount up fine. They go in there perfect, even including your filter minder, which attached without issue. So it really does clean up your engine bay. You will gain just a little bit of throttle response, not enough to make that big of a difference. You do have louder turbo noise. You are pulling more air, but as far as are there any performance issues that you're just going to pull out of the driveway and go wow after you install this? Not really. Changes your sound, a little bit better throttle response. It's breathing better, a little more turbo noise. That's about it. So if you're looking for something just mind-blowing, it's not going to happen. But it also does away with your cold side pipe, which is notorious with Forge for blowing off and cracking. Those need to be replaced anyway, whether you go with a Pusher pipe or you go with any of the others available on the market. I would go with a steel pipe. Pusher offers this pipe in a 1-piece or 2-piece. I chose to go with the 1-piece because it's the last thing I want to do is dick with another connection I have to fight with while I'm trying to get this thing put back together. Overall, it looks really clean in the truck. Would I buy it again? No, probably not. I would test out a couple of other companies that are making full piping kits before I went back with this. I know some of them have a stabilization bracket for that right there, and they include a full air box, and for roughly the same money. Like I said, $2,000. I don't expect it to have nicks when it shows up. I expect it to have a full air box, and I expect it to have a mounting solution for everything that needs a mounting solution. Anyway, and I had high hopes for Pusher products, but like I said, their customer service just sucks. There is an issue with the coolant reroute. I emailed them. That has been weeks ago. No response from them. No interest in providing any information there or insight. So I would not go with them. I would try out other companies. Who knows, in the end, might try them out, might come back and say, you know what, out of all the options, Pusher is the best, and that's what I would go with. But as of right now, I love the kit. But if I had to buy another one tomorrow for this truck or another truck, I would try out a different company. So that's my thoughts, and we'll be back. We got a lot to talk about. The S&S DBK, CCV filter delete, some more electrical mods to fix Ford's horrific engineering of deciding that the truck knows best and you don't know how to drive. So see you guys soon.